The Atlanta Braves just completed a disappointing season filled with injury and regression that saw them barely make the postseason and then get bounced from the first round. However, with the majority of the roster set to return, the Braves are just a few moves away from being World Series contenders once again. This makes the 22nd rebuild of the Rebuilding October series, which is where I rebuild a new team every day across the month of October. So whether you're looking for your favorite team or just generally curious about how every team will approach the offseason, this is the series for you. And with that, let's get the big A back into the World Series. Before we can look at who the Braves will bring in to help the squad, we first need to understand who will be leaving the team via free agency. One of the biggest names that has the chance to hit free agency is Marcell Ozuna. Chance is the key word because after posting a 925 OPS with 39 homers, it would be hard to justify not activating his team option of $16 million. And it's a similar story for Max Fried, who continues to put up great numbers as he enters his 30s. Over the past 5 seasons, Fried has posted a 2.81 ERA with a 3.11 FIP while striking out 8.5 batters per 9 innings. The Braves don't have an option looming over Fried, but it should be priority number one to get him back in town, and for this rebuild, they would do just that. A starter who will not return to the roster will be Charlie Morton. Morton still puts up decent numbers, especially for being 40 years old. In 2024, Morton posted a 4.19 ERA with a 4.46 FIP while striking out over 9 batters per 9 innings. Morton will get pushed out of the picture mainly due to positional depth already on the roster, with Sale, Lopez, Fried, and Swellenbach all having good years, and Strider set to return early in the season. Retaining Morton shouldn't be a priority for the Brave. Another Brave to hit the free agent market unopposed is Travis d'Arnaud. D'Arnaud continues to be a solid backup catcher, producing league average results offensively while also being about league average defensively. Over his 5 seasons in Atlanta, d'Arnaud has posted a 755 OPS with a 162 game average of 25 homers and 87 RBIs. D'Arnaud will find another contract elsewhere and will be a significant loss, but for a backup catcher, the Braves can't justify the cost. For the next two names, I did make a bit of mistake because in their respective rebuilds, I did have them signing elsewhere, believing the other would stay in Atlanta. However, to keep parity, these two lefty relievers will leave in free agency, and those names are AJ Minter and Aaron Bummer. Ideally, the Braves would need to keep one after the emergence of Dylan Lee. That reality is pretty easy for the Braves as they have a club option over Aaron Bummer, who looked closer to that prime Aaron Bummer that we saw in Chicago with a 2.23 FIP. However, again, we won't be doing any of that because I'm an idiot. The next bullpen arm who the team is being faced with a tough decision on is Luke Jackson. Jackson's being held in Atlanta with a team option for $7 million. Jackson struggled during his second stint in Atlanta, posting a 4.5 ERA across 16 appearances. The Braves will not retain the veteran's services in pursuit of better options, but Jackson's career will lead him to getting a contract elsewhere. Another player who struggled in his return was Adam Duvall. Last season, Duvall posted a 569 OPS with 11 homers and 30 RBIs across 104 games. And with Acuna returning likely by the beginning of the season and with better options internally, Duvall will find his way out of Atlanta. The next player the Braves will be faced to decide on is Jesse Chavez, who infamously only pitches well for the Braves. And that continued in 2024, where he posted a 3.13 ERA across 46 appearances. Admittedly, there are some concerns for Chavez as the strikeouts took a major hit in 2024, dipping from 10.1 to 7.8, and the home runs increased significantly. And that might lead to Chavez quitting while he's ahead. There are already reports swirling about his potential retirement prior to the 2024 season, and it seems like a good time to retire. Another name that will step into a bigger role for the Braves in 2025 is John Brebbia, who made his way to Atlanta very late in the year. Brebbia had his struggles in Chicago, but looked way better in his very limited time in Atlanta. That comes after posting 2 seasons of mid 3 ERAs across 106 innings and was overall pretty solid. And the final two names are both aging infielders who the Braves won't emphasize bringing back to the Big A, and that is Whit Merrifield and Gio Urshela, both of which served their roles, but it was mainly in the wake of injury, and with those players returning in 2025, it doesn't make much sense to keep them around. For the prospects, the Braves have a few top performers who could have their respective impact on the Major League roster. The first of which is AJ Smith-shawver, who ended up starting the postseason game for the team, mostly due to a tight schedule and injuries, but hey, it did happen. Smith-shawver was a really exciting prospect in 2023, where he posted a 2.76 ERA across his minor league tenure before getting 6 appearances at the major league level. Those appearances weren't great, and that fortune continued when he returned to the minors in 2024, posting a 4.85 ERA across 21 starts. It's tough for Smith-shawver to find a role within this team without injury to the starters on the roster, and he'll likely start the year in the minor leagues. The next name with big time stuff is Hurston Waldrep, who features a big time fastball slider splitter combination and could maintain his spot on the major league roster with a change to the bullpen. Waldrop continues to use an up tempo delivery that is hard to replicate, so his command can go at times, and it's a scenario where he can iron it out to be a frontline starter, but also could end up as a reliever. Possibly my favorite baseball name of all time, Nacho Alvarez got his crack at the major league level, but again struggled to take a foothold on the roster. Alvarez was only up for 8 games and managed just 3 hits across 32 plate appearances. From his time at AAA, there was hope that his bat to ball skills would translate into the majors. After all, he posted an 861 OPS across 64 games in AAA and actually showed more power than his 40 grade would imply. There is upside with Alvarez, and it just needs to be seen over a longer time frame. And the final name on the list has to be on the opening day radar in Drake Baldwin. Baldwin crushed AAA last season with an 891 OPS across 72 games with 12 homers. Baldwin will likely stick behind the dish, and at the very least can be a catcher with some plus pop, something that profiles very well as a backup catcher. For additions, there really isn't much to do with this team, as they have stars at almost every position, but one important position left to fill is that super utility guy, and who better than postseason hero Enrique Hernandez? Hernandez's value is strictly with his skill as a player in the field, as his bat doesn't play much. Hernandez could find his way into the field late in games as his defensive replacement or in the wake of injury. Not a sexy signing, but someone who could be a key part to their roster. To fix my blunder from earlier, the team will grab Caleb Fieldbar from free agency. Fieldbar is coming off a poor season for the Minnesota Twins, where he posted a 5.32 ERA across 59 appearances. However, the previous 4 seasons of Fieldbar are the version they're hoping to get, where he posted a 3.21 ERA across 174 innings, while striking out over 11 batters per 9 innings. In 2024, the strikeouts were still there, but he uncharacteristically struggled with walks and hits, and the Braves should expect to get a player more in line with his career norms. And that's going to do it for the additions. That brings the final roster to Sean Murphy at the catcher spot, who you hope will get back to that prime form. Matt Olson at first, Ozzy Albies at second, with Orlando Arcia at short, who needs to see that bat come back to life, with Austin Riley at third. Jorge Soler in left, with Harrison center, and Acuna back from his injury in right, with Marcell Ozuna at the DH spot. The bench would consist of Ramon Laureano and Jared Kelenic as additional outfield options, with Drake Baldwin making his way to the majors as the backup catcher and Enrique Hernandez to be that super utility guy. The rotation would consist of Fried, Sale, Lopez, Swellenbeck, and presumably Strider if he is healthy by opening day, and if not, Smith-shawver could fill that void. Would this team be capable of another World Series run? Absolutely. This team is loaded with stars at almost every position, with the only real weak spot being shortstop, but with a weak market, it's tough to find an upgrade. The team will require some bounce back performances from the likes of Murphy, Arcia, and Harris, and it's entirely possible the Braves find their way back atop the National League and into the World Series.